All right, guys. So I got a story.
Let's hear it.
What's your story?
I can't wait.
So we're on our way to school to drop Delaney off. And so she asks a lot of questions. You know, fifth graders really do ask a lot of questions. You know,
What is she asking right now? What type of questions?
Well, normally it's like science questions or like, why is something this way or that way? Then out of the blue in the back seat, she goes, what's a bidet?
Okay.
My mind immediately is like, what are they talking about on the playground that a bidet came up?
Right.
So I was like, well, a bidet washes your butt. And
Yes.
right.
Yes.
And I said, when I lived in Europe, because, you know, in Italy, there was one, I said, that was like your basic kind of bidet that it was next to the toilet, you know, to sort of help you like wash your butt. And she's like, well, when would you need to know to wash your butt? And I was like, you know, sometimes when you get poop stuck up there, I said, it's a way of, I didn't want to be like digging. I didn't know what to say. Like, I was just like, you know, to wash your butt out. And then she's like, oh, okay, quiet. We're in traffic. And then she's like, how do you dry your butt then? And I was like,
Okay, that's a valid question.
that's a valid question, right?
Yes.
So I was like, well, the ones I saw that are like your basic, there's towels next to them. So when she's like, well, that's gross. That's what she said. I was like, good point. Good point. I said, and then there's really fancy ones that are built into the toilets that you see more. You see them here sometimes, but you see them a lot in Asia. And I go, and they dry like an air dryer. It's one of the things. And she was like, whoa. So then she was kind of like, maybe we need a bidet. If it's going to dry you off too and you don't have to wipe.
You know, my niece lives in Italy, and I did hear a story recently that when she started school this year, she was like, Mom, like, I don't know what to do when I need to poop because they don't have toilet paper at school.
They have a bidet.
They have a bidet. And so they had to explain to her what it was for. And she was like, well, where's the soap? And like, what do I do if my poop is really sticky?
Right. Well, and the funny thing is, I got to be honest, I've never used a traditional bidet, like the ones that everybody uses in Europe. Even when I lived there, I was too scared because I didn't know if it was like a hover thing, like where I should like be hovering and then I turn the water on and it like sort of, you know, sprays it or not. What was making me laugh so hard is like, for Americans, at least, bidets aren't something we really talk about. We don't see them that often. They're not in a ton of public restrooms. And they kind of shock you. You walk into a bathroom. Do you remember the first time you saw one? You walked in, you're like, whoa, what is this? What do I do?
Right.
But it's almost like dirty little secret, but yet everyone is like super excited if they actually use one.
Wait, but right. Did you ask her, how did she hear about this word?
I did. I finally got to the bottom of it before he pulled into school. So it was a two-part thing in her brain. And I just love how little kids' brains work, you know? So one was she likes this show called Camp Kikiwaka. I don't know if your kids, Jennie, do your kids watch that?
No, but we have to watch it at work all day. So yes,
I would say we heard it at work, yes.
Okay, so you guys know that, you know the show. Yeah, because it's a little bit older. So anyway, there was an episode, I guess, where a bird got a butt bath. I think they were trying to set up a bird bath and somehow it broke and sprayed up and they called it a bidet. So right away she associated that, you know, water spraying in your bung, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then it gets deeper. She said she remembered watching this, that when we went on a cruise like over a year ago, that they had the bidet in the bathrooms.
Oh, wow.
And so she remembered seeing those and asking about it. So for some reason in the car on the way to school, this all sprouted up, puns intended again. You know, all these questions about a bidet.
Right.
All really great questions, which then, of course, set me down a butt rabbit hole.
Oh, my goodness. Here we go, people.
Here we go.
That drama's about to end, 'cause gross. Stop asking for a friend, taboos. Icky's what we do, it's just science. Yeah, it's not so weird. Your gross out journey starts right here on Oh Gross.
This whole conversation with Delaney and the bidet set me down, as I said, a butt rabbit hole, we'll call it.
Right.
Because I also wanted to make sure that I was explaining everything correctly to her, you know?
Right.
Okay, all this bidet talk brings me back to my favorite BuzzFeed article that we talked about last week, and I think we will keep talking about. So number 4 on that most offensive hygiene or lack of hygiene habits was wash your bunghole. So somebody wrote in and said, wash your ass crack. It doesn't affect me on a daily basis if someone doesn't do this, but I know you're a filthy beeping animal when you tell me you don't wash your bum. And then number 5 was also our favorite, was closing the toilet lid before flushing the toilet. Now, these offenses can be solved by a bidet because there are bidets that the toilet lid closes automatically. And as we know, a bidet's whole job is to wash your bunghole. And shouldn't we all wash our bunghole? So let's talk more about bidets.
Right?
Yeah.
Most of us know what a basic bidet is, that it's a simple washing of the tush, right? After you go to the bathroom. And then things evolved, and what people call Japanese toilets get a little fancier, right? Because that's like the Toto, and it has like the built-in butt dryer, right? And all that kind of fun stuff. And what I learned when I started this research was that the difference between a bidet and a Japanese toilet really is that when they evolved the toilets, they wanted to make sure you didn't have to use your hand.
Okay.
In the process at all. Like, let's remove the hand in the process. Then I started going farther and farther down this research. And I don't know if you know this, but do you know in 2020, an explosion of bidets happens in the United States? We, as a country, we're not big bidet fans, right? I mean, I don't think growing up, I ever saw one in someone's house. Did you guys?
I don't think I've ever seen one until I went to Europe.
Right. How about you, Jennie?
Very rarely here. Yeah, maybe once or twice.
Yeah, like maybe in a fancy hotel or a restaurant.
Right.
Maybe the hotel toilets had a Japanese toilet, like a Toto or something, but we don't really see bidets here. So when COVID happened and toilet paper was not available, bidet sales in the United States went up 300 to 400%. Impressive.
I'm actually not shocked by that.
Right.
Especially during that time. I'm not shocked.
So much so that you couldn't get a bidet. It was like in high demand. It was like the Cabbage Patch Kids. Then you saw an explosion of different versions of bidets that always existed, where you can get like an adapter on your toilet or something like that. But we saw an explosion of that sort of happen. I just love these words, explosion, when we're talking about poop and bidet. I
knew.
I saw Molly's face. She was holding back. I started researching, why aren't we using bidets and what's kind of wrong with us, right? Because everybody uses a bidet. And what I found was this one article, I think that was in the New York Post, okay? And it was this year. So we're not talking just in the explosion of COVID. It was a doctor saying everyone needs to own a bidet.
Oh, everyone.
Everyone.
Okay.
You're not taking care of not only your hygiene, but your health if you don't have a bidet. So then I was like, why? That's crazy. But the truth is, and when you think about it, what this doctor was talking about is it's not only better for obviously the environment. We know those things, because of excessive use of toilet paper and what it does to our plumbing and everything else in the ocean, but because it's literally going to reduce things like infections for women, some of the things that we experience with vaginal issues. It can reduce that. It's supposed to be a big, 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 big help with hemorrhoids and reducing anal fissures as well.
Right? Fissures, anal fissures.
That's my life. I have a couple.
We don't need to get into that.
Well, we can let Jennie explain what they are.
Basically, an anal fissure can be a little tear. A lot of people will get them when you simply wipe too hard or if you strain too much when you're pooping.
And very popular in pregnancy, right?
And yes, a lot of women get them. They're very painful and you have to let them heal, but they can get infected and there's always risk with that. So
it's supposed to reduce that, as well as just the spread of the common things that we talked about, like in our airplane episode, that can be spread on toilets.
Right. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
From norovirus to anything else.
Yeah.
So this article was really about like, we all need to have a bidet. So then I was like, well, I need a bidet, I think. And then I was like, but what kind? And,
Wait a minute. How expensive are bidets?
Well, that was the cool thing. When I bought my house, there was a Toto toilet in it. And then the people who sold us our house swapped it out for like a normal toilet, didn't tell us. And it was like devastating because by that time we couldn't, say anything. But those are like the real expensive, those can be $1,000 to a couple of grand. And those are the ones that dry and do all these things. And they're evolved basic bidets into these Japanese toilets. But you can get a really simple attachment for like, from what I saw, like $30-something.
Oh yeah.
Right?
That's not bad.
No.
They're on Amazon.
Yeah. They can you attach to your toilet. It won't be fancy, but it actually will do the job.
Yeah. My husband has bought one of those from Amazon before.
Oh, really? Did you use it?
Does it work?
I was too scared to use it, but I would hear when he would turn it on, and that's why it would scare me, because it just sounded like this giant stream of water. And I was like, well, what
Did
if
he
it's
like it?
aimed in the wrong place? He liked it. He said that he felt much cleaner after he would do a number 2 and wash him off.
With a bidet, do you still have to wipe, or do
Yeah,
you
that's
just
a great-
do the bidet?
That's a great question. So I found a thing called Pootube,
Pootube.
like on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
So there was this, I'm trying to think of how to describe her, this poo influencer that I actually sent Molly a clip of one of them because it was so funny. I'm going to call her a poo influencer because I think that's what she is.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's doing it as much, but back during COVID for sure, and coming out of COVID, she had a lot of views on her videos. And one of the ones that I thought was fascinating, because this is how it all started for me, was all about like, what do you do to dry in a bidet? Right? Because that's everyone's fear. Like, I don't know what to do, because you think about, the toilet paper and whatnot. So taking what she said, I'll tell you in a second, but also going back to the doctor. So the doctor said, okay, think of it this way. Do you wash your hands?
Yes.
Yeah.
And everyone says yes, right? And they're wet. And what do you do when your hands are wet?
You dry
You
them.
dry them.
You dry them. And he thinks that people overthink because we have such a taboo around our butt in society, which goes back to what Oh Gross is all about, right? Since we think of it as gross, what the bidet is doing is it's actually getting the gross out and away, right? So you would just dry it like you would your clean hands. So for clarity on the Pootube, Carrie was a spokesperson mostly during that like 2021, 2022 COVID era when we were seeing these bidets blow up. But Carrie was their spokesperson on Hello Tushy. And Hello Tushy, while they do promote their own products, it's a really great source of informational videos. And they have fun slogans like love stinks, but your bathroom doesn't have to. So if you check out at Hello Tushy on social, you can find a lot of this information we're talking about. Carrie says you can use normal toilet paper, and she recommends a pat, right? Because the whole point of a bidet, if you're doing it right, is going to get everything else out and you're just patting dry. So it's not this vision of like wadding up wet toilet paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is if you have your basic bidet. Or she suggests there's certain toilet papers that are much more environmentally safer, better, everything. And it's bamboo, because the biggest thing too is if you're going through the whole bidet thing and then you're using some of these harsher toilet products, right? Are you really offsetting everything you've just done? So there's a lot of bamboo toilet paper, which is supposed to, you need less of it. It's not as harsh. Or she's a big proponent of the towel and says, like, again, you're associating, like, people have gross things on our hands. Like we've talked about this on Oh Gross. All the things we carry on our hands, right? And we're okay with being at someone's house who has the hand towels, like I do at my house, right? Mm-hmm. Wiping it and throwing it in a basket. But with the bidet, in our head, we're associating, well, no, if I pat my butt, it's so dirty. But your butt's not dirty anymore.
Yeah, if you use the bidet, then it's washed out of there.
It's washed out of
So
there.
you just need to dry it.
Exactly. And she gets into, Carrie, our Pootube friend, really digs deep.
I'm so upset that we never came up with this.
I know,
Why
I
did
know.
we not do this?
Pootube.
I know. And Jennie, I'm sorry. I had to send it to Molly right away. I was like, there's a Pootube. There's a Pootube. Oh my gosh. There's a Pootube. Literally, her shirt says, ask me about my butt. And my husband had colon cancer. And as you guys remember, for a couple of years when we used to raise money for colon cancer awareness and stuff like that, I had a whole campaign that's what's up my butt.
Right.
Because we were trying to make the word butt normalized in general, right? And so I really do love that she's got, ask me about my butthole on her shirt. So, but she gets into in her videos just like different ways to tap dry. And the doctor too, in the article in the New York Post, was like, you just have a bunch of towels and the bacteria and stuff is gone. And I just thought it was really interesting too, just about vaginal health. I mean, another thing everyone's probably like, oh, I'm gonna say vaginal health, guys. We're on Oh Gross and we gotta talk about this stuff. It's supposed to be really great for that too. I mean, I know your husband enjoyed it, Jennie, because I think meant just the idea of like a waterfall in their butt. They're probably like, yes. But like, it's supposed to be really good for us as well.
It
is
is.
my understanding.
It is.
It is, yes.
I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole with that too, because that's what I was thinking about. Well, how does it not spray the wrong direction? And you can set the sprayer to where it's spraying in the right direction. And for women especially, you want to make sure that it's spraying from front to back.
Right.
You don't
Right.
want to spray it from back to front, or you could give yourself an
Especially
infection.
if it's one of the home ones,
Right.
right? Like the ones that you attach to your own toilet.
Exactly.
Right. Because you're going to be setting that yourself.
Yeah. So you want to make sure it's spraying from front to back so that it's washing out the bacteria and not washing anything like E. coli in.
when you think about it, like there's all these products that are marketed towards us that are not really good for our pH balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our vaginal pH. I mean, in general, I guess everyone's pH too. I'm imagining even your butthole has a pH, right? Balance that's going on. I think that it's interesting that like simple water is the best, right? But we're so afraid in the US of the bidet, right? But it seems like the smartest solution. But my question, which I did not go down the hole enough, another joke, is if you buy the one that you attach yourself, I wonder how hard it is to actually do it. Because I didn't get that far with our ask me about my butthole girl.
So she has all kinds of tutorials online, and this is on hellotushy.com. And it even talks about the different toilet bowls, you know, so she walks through like every type of toilet bowl that there is. Looks like it's fairly easy to do, but she does have a lot of those online.
Oh, that's cool. Because like that was my biggest thing too. Like obviously, I don't know that I would want to commit. I mean, of course, in my dream world, I want a beautiful toilet that's talking to me. Because I mean, some of those get really, amazing. I only saw like a full blown high end one once. I was in Hawaii at a nice hotel with Brian. We were actually celebrating his cancerversary for being clean of cancer.
Oh,
So we were laughing so hard because we were super excited that how fitting for colon cancer to have this beautiful toilet. It had like a heater. It had a dryer. It had the thing where it would go, like you're talking about, Jennie, front to back. You know, when it did it automatically. It had a bunch of different settings, like if it was going to be like a bigger poop than another kind of poop. So that was pretty cool. But obviously that takes care of everything. And it was self-cleaning.
nice.
That's important.
Yeah, but when you're doing it at home and you can't afford something like that, because obviously all of us aren't going to go out and buy a $3,000 toilet right now. If you're buying the attachment, I think it's really good to look at her stuff and check out which toilet matches which. But I am curious about cleaning it too. Like, because if it's not cleaning itself, what does that mean?
There are actually ways that you can clean it though, because, well, number one, I went down that little rabbit hole because I'm always
You
thinking
had one in
about-
your house.
Yeah.
Right. I had one in my house. Well, and, you know, I'm always thinking about, well, what can you get from it? Or, you know, could it spread if I don't clean it? But one of the things that I was reading about was, number one, you want to make sure that you have a mild dish detergent or vinegar, because remember, you're flushing it down the toilet.
Right, when you clean it.
So I think that the chemicals you're putting down the toilet, you know, are important. And then basically it was just talking about you just clean it with vinegar or a very mild detergent and very soft cleansing cloths. You want to have two different ones. You want to have one for washing it off and then one for drying it, and maybe a small toothbrush to get into the little holes, you know, if you have the...
I know about the visual of the toothbrush in the toilet. I hear you though. It makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
just-
Your toothbrush is the best cleaning tool. It totally makes sense. Yeah.
Definitely.
How often are you supposed to clean it?
I mean, I'd say every time you clean the bathroom, you could probably wipe it down, but then you want to really get into the little holes of the spigots, you know, probably every couple weeks, because if you don't clean those, that's when you could spread E. coli. I read some studies where they swabbed some of them and they found a lot of E. coli and salmonella and things like that had spread.
We do know that our bodies all have, like Dr. Steve told us, E. coli and salmonella, you're going to find it. So it's just a good idea just to kind of make sure you flush it.
It is. But then on the other hand, it's so much more sanitary. And I admit I was scared of it. I was really scared of the bidet. But talking about cleaning it, when you think about the studies that they've done on why it's so much more sanitary, I was reading this study where they gave these people in a nursing home
Oh, wow.
this chemical they put on this fake butt
Okay.
that was colored. And so they had them wipe the butt and then wash their hands and touch stuff. And then they went back and took swabs and pictures of wherever that dyed chemical was to see everything that they had touched that they didn't wash off their hands.
That was what I was going to say. Like our biggest, what we've learned from anyone we've talked to, any expert, especially Dr. Steve, who's an infectious disease expert, it's like our favorite definition, which is fecal veneer. I mean, this would reduce fecal veneer dramatically because at the end of the day, it really is, it's on our hands, it's everywhere. And it's because one of the other articles I was reading was saying, like, when you really get down to not just the harshness of wiping something dry, think about it. You're not washing it.
Right.
It's all the bacteria, everything is still there, right? And then you're relying on washing your hands good enough to get it off, as opposed to your hands free when you're washing your bum, and then all you're doing is drying, right? And washing your hands. It's got to cut everything dramatically when it comes to germ spread.
It cuts it dramatically. Yeah. We always feel, I think, especially in the US, we feel like we're cleaner because we're wiping it with toilet paper, but you're actually just spreading it all over your bum and your butt cheeks.
And everywhere, and in your hands. And
Yeah.
I don't want to
Under your
gross everybody
fingernails.
out too much, but y'all got the visual. Just go back to the definition of fecal veneer and you got it.
And then you touch this flusher and you touch the sink
And you touch the thing.
the faucet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's much cleaner no matter what version of it you have. And I think too, like I was reading another article about UTI prevention.
Yes.
It's like they've done all these studies. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, going back to the Hello Tushy, it talks about the benefits of bidets for women.
Yeah.
And the opening sentence says, all the ladies with no dingleberries, throw your hands up in the air. But it talks about,
all
it
the
says,
ladies with no dingleberries.
berries. But it says it reduces UTIs.
Yeah.
It softens your skin. It improves period care. It also helps with cleanup after sex. And it also helps to ease postpartum toileting.
Yes.
All very important.
Clean up after sex. No, that could be a whole other episode when we do our sex
Right.
episode. But to keep it simple, not too gross. I mean, think about that just in general. There's always like that rumor you got to go to the bathroom after sex because of bacteria, right? Because of UTIs. That's another great point. And also in general, like the hemorrhoid relief, which I didn't know, like some things make sense, like just in general. I mean, obviously, if you had a current hemorrhoid, it would make sense that a bidet would be so much easier on you than wiping and being harsh. But the low pressure of the water, I guess in general, like constantly being used, it starts to soften. Like you were saying, I think, Molly, softening the skin.
Right.
It somehow like helps prevent hemorrhoids too. It's basically kind of priming.
Right.
If you did have, let's say, constipation, right, and you know that you're going to have to push harder, there was some things that I read too that said even just kind of running it to relax
Can help it.
Can help it relaxing, to running the water. And if they're fancier, it would be warm water, right? And there's all different kinds of inversions out there of this kind of stuff. So I think that's really fascinating as well. And just the sustainability is always great too, right? Because like we're reducing toilet paper. Even if you decide to use toilet paper because you're like, I can't fathom the hand towel, you're still using less. You're using it just to dry and pat dry. And let me tell you, between my house, I don't know if you guys have this problem with kids, but like my toilets are always clogging, right?
With teenage boys, yes, it's clogging.
It's constant, right? I swear my daughter, it's like we're trying to teach her like how to ration toilet paper and be a little normal about it. It's like, no, they don't, it doesn't register for her, But I have like a list of a couple of different type of bidets. One is just like the standalone bidet that I guess we've all kind of seen in Europe. And some people don't love having two bathroom furniture, we'll call it butt furniture.
Bathroom furniture.
Then there's an actual like handheld hose you can buy where it's just exactly what it sounds like.
Yes.
You just hose
I've
in
seen
your butt.
those. Mhm.
Right. You're just hosing your butt. There's obviously the toilet seat bidet, which I think is what our tushy friend has a whole version. I'm probably what your husband got, I'm guessing, Jennie, right?
Yes, that's what he got. And by the way, it wasn't hard to attach, Kara. It was
wasn't?
not hard.
Okay.
No. I'll send husband right over.
And then the toilet seat bidet is an actual like toilet seat that you put on and it becomes the bidet. So I think that has a little more advancement to it. I don't know. Did you guys have a full toilet seat or was it just the attachment on the seat?
It was the attachment. And
On
there's
the
lots
seat.
on the seat. And there were a lot of little options too. Like you can change
The color, I saw.
the flow and, the direction and you could heat it.
So the toilet seat bidet is like you actually replace the toilet seat. They're a little more expensive than the basic attachment. And then there's the bidet attachment, which sounds like it's what you had, which is super affordable and easy. And it just installs to your existing toilet, as opposed to the toilet seat where you have to take it off. And the toilet seat, by the way, guys, some of them have drying features. So even though you're not buying a full bidet, you can get the more expensive toilet seat version. And it would have a drying feature. It wouldn't be as fancy as, some of these other toilets that we talked about. But there was one that had multicolors. Can you imagine if I could make every one of my toilets like Christmas, Halloween?
Oh, that'd be
You would
awesome.
love that.
Right?
I would
Right,
love
that
that.
you love decorating. That would be right up your alley.
Yeah. Color coordinating. I
St.
love
Patty's
it.
Day, green bidet, shamrock,
Yes.
shamrock poops, here we come. Yeah.
After all that green beer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, exactly. But here is what was really funny. It's super simple, but people who are like into the bidet, they say they can't live without it anymore. So I started going down like all the like bidet TikToks, everything, because I wanted to see people who have become bidet converts, like what they felt. And a lot of people were saying they can't not have one. So they travel with a traveling bidet.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And that's literally, when I looked at it, it looks like a portable water bottle with like a squeeze.
Like the things
Is
that we
it
have
kind of-
after a postpartum that they squeeze us
Yes,
with
like
in
the
the
post-
hospital.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's kind of like that. It's like a water bottle that you use on the go. And by the way, these people who are really into it, they'll use it even in an airplane bathroom. You'd have got to have like really good like thigh. I mean, I'm thinking you have to do like a hover and it's moving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a major squat.
Good thigh muscles going on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But there was a couple of people who said they even do it in the airplane bathroom, which I thought was funny since we just had the whole airplane bathroom episode.
Yes.
I wonder if they have tips on that.
Let's go down the butthole rabbit hole of how to balance in an
How to
airplane.
bidet your butt on the plane.
At an
Yes.
airplane bathroom while in turbulence. No, I'm kidding. It could be a workout, like you're right. It would be like a good squat,
Yeah.
total squat.
Yeah.
But I do think it's funny that what we call the Japanese toilet, and then Toto trademarked a bunch of stuff like the wash slit. I think that's like the Rolls Royce of toilets or something. And that's like the really advanced bidet toilet that like does everything. I think it talks to you and it's like, hello, welcome, sit on me or whatever it's.
I think I would be afraid of that one.
I would be afraid too.
I don't want my toilet talking to me. No, thank
I
you.
would like it to wash and dry me though. That would be nice.
Oh, yeah.
And it automatically, the lid comes up when you walk in.
I do like that.
And the lid automatically goes down, which we know, again, reducing so much bacteria.
Our friend Cleve,
Oh,
one of his
yes.
stories just a few days ago, talked about he was in a hotel room, a resort room. He did a whole thing about the toilet, how it raised itself,
And
lowered
closed it.
itself.
It's
Yeah.
smart. And especially for hotels, even if they're not going full bidet, it's really smart. That whole episode was about the toilet seat being up is the biggest problem when spreading germs and bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an owner of a hotel, this totally makes sense to have a toilet where the lid closes automatically. It's going to stop the spread of our favorite term here at Oh Gross, fecal veneer, as well as norovirus, I would imagine, right?
Absolutely.
It also
Yeah.
reduces men forgetting to put the toilet seat down.
And mess, right? And all that kind of stuff, which is very
Yes.
frustrating, right? But the average I saw of the one, like, as far as like what I saw for the rating, but the average I saw was around $90 to a couple of hundred if you're getting one of those fancy like toilet seat replacements. But they go, so they range anywhere from like $90 this whole bidet thing to $5,000.
Yeah.
There is really something for everybody. It's funny because the people who are converted, they have multiple.
Multiple in their house.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be good for kids. Think about it. All the germs they spread, right?
What if your
All the
kid though,
toilet
like
paper.
All the toilet paper
that
they're
they go
wasting,
through.
right?
my kids would try to use it as a water fountain or something though, you know?
I was thinking about that too, Jennie. Because
Yeah, they would.
We have little boys. Yeah. What would little Sean do with it?
What would Killian do with this bidet? Killian would be like, but Delaney, I think, who's
Yeah.
going to be 11 soon, would use it properly. We might have to wait till the boys are like at least 7 or 8 before or maybe 12, 15, maybe 20. We don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Might have to wait till they're 20 with the boys. But yeah, when I think about it in the broader sense, this isn't something new, right? I mean, bidets,
How long have they been around?
Okay. You guys are going to not believe this.
are we going to poop our pants when you tell us?
You might poop your pants. The earliest known written reference that they have found to a bidet is from 1710.
Not earlier than that? I would almost imagine it was earlier.
I would think the Romans were washing their butt for sure.
That's what I was thinking too.
They have information about them somehow in the 1600s as well. And they actually have some old bidets from France that Napoleon used. In fact, Napoleon willed one of his bidets to his son.
Oh,
for
willed
after
it,
he
like
died.
willed, like actually willed.
his bidet.
Oh.
His
And they
special
would-
bidet.
Yeah, they would look like these little benches that you would sit on.
Uh-huh.
So you would remove the top and it was like this little basin of water that you would sit over. And
Mhm.
Did it rush or would you just like soak your butt?
well, the first ones, they would wash themselves out like with this water. Well, then they figured out how to make like a manual pump later on.
Oh.
And then they would manually pump the water and clean themselves.
I'm also guessing that when they say the first written bidet, they mean the bidet as we know it today, like meaning like an actual contraption that is washing your butt.
Well, people didn't bathe. We have to think about that back then.
Right.
They didn't bathe often. And so
That was a priority, was
That's
to
true.
keep
it
your
was a
butt
pri-
clean.
Yep, to keep your butt clean. So they would sit over these little basins and they would be in the bedroom too.
Right.
So because they would have the little holes
Right.
to
Yeah,
go
to
to the
get
bathroom
clean
in. Mm-hmm.
And you have to think back then, up until the 20th century, majority of trial and error was people dying from bacteria and disease and trying to figure out what was causing it. So if they built a bidet back then, they knew that our butts are the ground zero for so much sickness that gets spread, right? That's what I'm guessing. And I think it's so funny that you go and look at our history in the United States and all of a sudden we're like, oh no, bidets are dirty. And it's I don't like to say the S word, but it is stupid.
Well, we need to normalize bidets.
Yeah, we do need to.
Let's have a campaign.
We need a bidet campaign. No, honestly, I'm completely into it. I told Brian last night, because this has been, as you know, like a 3-day bidet journey for me of research. Like I can't stop myself once I start making sure that I've thoroughly checked out the bidet, but I'm going to do it. I'm really into this idea. And I think it makes a lot of sense about not just basic hygiene, but when we talk about hygiene, like some simple things we can do to improve our health, right? Our hygiene and the environment.
Absolutely.
It's such an easy thing. And we make all these jokes and, people are all afraid of it. But I don't know. Like, I'm with Carrie, man. I want to wear a shirt that says, ask me about my butthole.
Look, butts for bidets. Butts for bidets, okay?
Right? Butts for bidets. That's our campaign.
Yeah.
It needs to not be gross anymore. I mean, it's not gross. It's actually kind of amazing.
It is. For women with the UTIs, I just want to say one thing that, when women have UTIs that just keep coming back, or cystitis, and a lot of women just start getting UTIs back to back as we age.
Can you explain for everybody what cystitis is?
Cystitis is just basically always having a UTI. And sometimes it could be from kidney stones. Sometimes it can be because of the way that your urethra is shaped, or it's too short. Sometimes it could be just so many different issues, with bacteria getting in there. But one of the most common reasons women get UTIs is because of the way that we wipe.
Right.
And we wipe bacteria into our urethra, and it's very, very easy to get a UTI. So one of the things that the bidet cuts down on is UTI reoccurrence.
Right.
And that's because you're washing the bacteria out of your urethra.
The proper way, the way that's gentle, without trying to buy some product that is going to mess up your pH, and
front to back
as well. And I think too, like we'll talk more. I know we're going to touch this season and perimenopause and all the fun things, and even men's butts. But don't worry, man, we're not leaving you out. Listen, as we get older, men or women, it doesn't matter. Like our bladders weaken.
Oh yeah.
Our sphincters weaken. So I think that the bidet across the board is really great. And we have to reiterate, it's good for everyone. A bidet is good for everyone, and it can help reduce infections no matter what you're experiencing, both in your bung or your bladder. It's just in general, I think, a solution to a lot of the icky things that we don't want to talk about.
And the sticky
in our drawers that we don't want to talk about that happen. I know even you men listening, we know you got streaks and you're going to get rid of those streaks, right? And your dingles, your dingles and streaks are going to go away. Yeah. Or even working out. I was reading an article about
your dingles,
you shower, you work out, XYZ. But sometimes the first thing you do after you work out is you go to the bathroom. Right? And you're all sweaty. And there was another article that I read that was just about like, even that, like going to the bathroom before you shower, if you work out and you're going to come home and do that, and using the bidet is actually, it helps that, because even when you're right. Cause let's think about that. Like we're sweating and there's all, bacteria and all that kind of stuff. So I'm into it, man. I am like I'm all bidet all the way.
It'll cut down on the jock itch,
Yeah.
And
jock
we've
itch,
talked about that.
Yeah. Jock itch too. Cause they said,
yeast infections. Yeah.
At the end of the day, where men aren't going to use it the same way we do, there was a setting in one of the really fancy ones that was like either if it was for a vagina or a penis. And for the penis, I think it was just kind of a little like, we're just going to do a quick spray past it.
Like a car wash.
Like a little car wash, a light car wash.
Right.
As opposed to, obviously, when we sit on the toilet, things are just a little more in there in a different way. And there's a reason for that. The thing is that this is all backed by science. This is like the perfect, gross discussion.
It is.
Yes.
It's all backed by science. We know washing our hands works. Why don't you think washing your butt works?
Let's bring the bidet into 2025.
Yeah, but it's the year of the bidet.
Yes.
Oh, Molly, I love this. It's the year of the bidet.
The bidet.
It's the year of bidet. We're going to
bidet all day.
A bidet all day. Oh my gosh. We'll have mimosas and make t-shirts.
Hey, slay the bidet.
Slay on your bidet.
Slay on your bidet.
I think what we all take away from this is that all three of us, are we getting bidets right now or some sort of attachment?
I think we are, yes.
I'm going to try it.
I'm going to try it.
I'm going to go back to husbands spectacular attachment. Yes. To the
I'm going to
toilet.
Hello Tushy. I'm going to go get one.
Me too. Oh my God.
Yes.
Let's go to Hello Tushy. Yeah. I mean, mine might have to have lights, but we'll see. I mean, I might need a little color change, but I think we will have to have a follow-up episode and we can all talk about how we're doing with our new bidets.
Yes.
So that'll be fun.
I got you.
But in the meantime, the big takeaways to remember are that bidets offer a cleaner and gentler and more sustainable alternative to toilet paper no matter what, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're going to use toilet paper because you're not ready to move over to a bamboo or a towel, it's going to reduce how much you use.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They promote health by reducing bacteria and irritation in general. So we're talking about hemorrhoids and the butt
Promotes
slicers.
healing. Promotes healing. Yes.
Softer skin.
Softer skin,
skin.
right? And also, it just in general, it protects the environment down there when you think about it. If you're just right, if we're keeping it clean the proper way, like you said, from making sure, especially for women, that we're cleaning the right way,
Yes. Front to back. Front to back.
front to back, front to back. You can use it with bamboo toilet paper. You could use it with your regular toilet paper if you really can't part with it. And towels, don't be afraid of it because your butt is clean after you wash it off, right? So you're
Right.
patting dry and you're just going to think of it just like washing your hands and there's much more stuff left on your hands. And for me, I think the best thing too is that there's an option for every budget. Like it's not, I always thought of a bidet
Yes.
as something that's like way out of budget. And I also thought those little attachments were just a joke, like a gag. I had no idea until I did research that those attachments are real, they work, they're great, and all that kind of good stuff.
They're easier to clean than most people would think. And for me, the biggest takeaway is that they cut down on the spread of harmful bacteria. So that experiment that I read about, insane, just how many places did that little dye that they had put on the butt did they find everywhere? So
That's horrifying.
your hands are cleaner, under your fingernails are cleaner, and you're cutting down on the risk of getting sick.
And by the way, Hello Tushy, if you are listening and you would like to send us some of your products, we are happy to test them out for you. And we would love for you to be a sponsor of the podcast.
I want to thank the Pootube for helping me get on this journey. And we all have learned, don't be afraid about washing. If you're not following us yet, what are you doing? Click follow right now, please. Thank you. And guess what? You'll never miss the icky and sticky solutions you need in life.
Next time you're scrolling, be sure to follow us at It's Oh Gross on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube to stay updated on all things Oh Gross.
Oh, gross. That drama's about to end, 'cause gross. Stop asking for a friend, taboos. Icky's what we do. Psoriasis, podiatrist, and pinworms too. It's so gross. No need for strife, because gross. Life is part of life, it's just science. Yeah, it's not so weird. We got the facts, nothing to fear. Oh, gross. It's just science, no, it's not weird. It's just science, nothing to fear. It's just science, so wipe those tears.